ideologies.
The two of you seem to be buying from the same book or reading from the same book.
When I say that the actual opposition is outside, I'm not saying that they are competitive enough that they can also, I mean, we know, get the percentage that can give people reason to suspect that they have a chance. But I'm actually implying that the political parties saying have come to join the RPF, PSDP, PPS and others. I personally don't believe they are opposition.
Yeah, but then
there are different political parties, but
yes,
I don't think they amount of opposition.
Yes, but then again, what is more interesting here is that who then needs to give the people that you want to say that are missing that opportunity to be able to...
It's not that I want them to be there. I'm merely stating the fact as I see them or as I interpret them. So who needs to give them? It's up to them.
It's up to them.
Yeah, it is not the job of the ruling party to create this opposition. They have said it very many times. It's not their job.
Yeah.
As long as the rules are there, people follow them, establish opposition, and compete, provide proper agendas that can excite people to follow them. I think in future there will be a time when there will be an actual organized competitive
I have
opposition.
A question,
at the moment,
Eugene, to my colleague Gonzague. What do you think is going to make them in future? Because I think there is quiet from the current context. There is enough enabling environment for competitiveness. Or political competition, or political ideology competition.
That one we can debate. What is going to get them in future is ambition. Usually people aspire to high office.
What is hindering their ambition, apparently?
Yes.
There is a generation which either is, most of the political class, as you saw in Rusororo, are very nomad and in admiration of President Kagame, so they don't feel they need to challenge him. In future, possibly the conditions will change. I suspect, and there is reasonable ground for that the economy and the aspiration of the people may not move at the same pace, creating justification for alternative voices.
We will be able to talk about succession in this program. Yes.
Now, if we aspire for a future in which the politics is much more competitive, we need to be clear that we are not aspiring for a political situation that is exciting. Exciting means what? What is exciting? Exciting in the context of African politics, talk about violence, the potential for violence. So if you see what's happening in Kenya, you realize that there's likely to be a refusal of the opposition, or whoever will be declared a loser, to accept the results.
So that is what interests some people.
The excitement, yes. And we have to aspire for a political situation that is competitive but is not exciting in the traditional way that this excitement is being talked about.
There was excitement in Tanzania.
Hold on.
Can I reconcile the two positions about competition?
Yes, the voice of reason as always.
So I think that that political in the political dispensation we have today, the consensus model, it's not intended to be quote unquote exciting. It is intentionally dull. And it serves a purpose. Now, in terms of the future he's talking about, yes, the RPF probably will break up someday. Yeah, when the aims for which it was formed are no longer viable, or if the RPF is no longer to serve the aims for which it exists, it probably will break up. And we can bring down this aspect of the competitive aspect, because one wing will be going against another. There will be a wing that is true to the original aims, and there will be a wing that will be breaking off from the original aims, and then we can lead to his situation.
Are you trying to prophesy something?
No.
Let me move this conversation a bit forward again. Talking of competition, let's try now talk a bit about those who have already said that, you know what, I want to be a contender in these elections, and then probably we'll be able to get the point that Gonzague is saying, and the issue of competition. Let's take some minutes and talk about the aspirants, those who have already said that they want to participate. We have Dan Shima Rwigara, who says that I'm a woman, I feel like I have the credentials, I feel like I'm a worthy challenger. If allowed by the National Electoral Commission, I would be able to definitely challenge and be able to, bring alternative in this country. Justine, you are a lady, And of course, looking at what people always say that, you know, where are the ladies, where are the women in taking up these particular opportunities? Quickly, from the alternative that probably she says she wants to bring versus the gender part of it, what would you say about this candidate, looking at this election? I mean, this aspirant.
I have no problem with women coming up to compete. But what are they bringing? That's my concern. Yes, what agenda does a woman who presents themselves today as a presidential candidate, what package against the current agenda that is there? What political ideology does this person, does this woman, does this gender come to present? So
for you, the major thing is not about the gender, it's about the agenda
Absolutely.
that they bring on board.
Absolutely.
What are her chances if she's given a chance to run, if she qualifies in the right way to run? What are her chances in these elections?
Well, when you say that you want a woman to run, you are talking about the introduction in Rwanda of a feminist politics. Kagame is a feminist politician, so yeah. So I can't say that you already have a woman president, because that would not be correct. But the ideals that we seek from a woman president, Kagame is showing those ideals. Now, the woman president would have to present a set of ideals that is stronger than Kagame's in the feminist perspective, and therefore there'd be reason to seek a woman president.
Right. Does she stand a chance? I mean, coming, first of all, I'm a woman. Number two, these are the ideals that I would love to.
Does she have a structure? You can't just stand for president. I mean, you must have a structure. You must be able to mobilize a core of supporters who organize. Even to get like 2% of the votes, maybe there could be an angry vote somewhere that people just throw there, but no. But we should look at, because she's not the only independent aspirant.
We want to sample all of them. We've just started with
yes.
her. Yes.
We could look more at the points she's raising, if they make sense, that is. Are they worthy of the debate during the presidential election? Other than that, the independents, no.
Finish your sentence. The independents what?
Other than raising points to be discussed, the independent candidates are irrelevant.
They're irrelevant.
I think that having a parliament of 66% women and not having a viable women president is problematic. However, like I said, we have a president that is very sensitive to the aspirations of women. What that does is that it creates problems in the viability of a woman president, regardless of the fact that there are 66% in the parliament.
Right. We all know what happened to her before we move to the next aspirant, who is Felipe Maimana. We know what happened to Diana when she announced that she would love to run for election. Is this an example of what they say politics is a dirty game? If you were to analyze what happened and how she would react, or how she should be able to carry herself after that, if probably, let's say, any other woman out there came out to vie and say, I would love to vie for this political position, and then something like what happened when the nude photos came out and stuff like that, how does a politician deal with that in order to still remain relevant and stay on course?
I think this one, the way the events unfolded, is very tricky, because this is a person who was not known in the field, and then all of a sudden she appears. You don't know what she's been engaged with. Normally they say, tell me your friends, I'll tell you who you are. So where does this come from? You can't easily tell. You can easily tell,
right? Because
some of us saw her for the first time on news as presenting herself as presidential candidate. So it's actually very difficult to tell who she is.
Right.
Yes, and what could have led to that.
Right.
Yes.
If you're an analyst or an advisor, political advisor, and something happened to your candidate who you are actually advising, would you say this is time for you to actually quit the race?
If I was Diane's advisor?
Yes.
Yeah. I think, no. I think that that was a violation of her privacy. And she should have continued. If I was her advisor, I would have advised her to continue, because I would believe that we would have been in the race for presidency for higher ideals. That would not stop us by having nude pictures out there.
Right.
And the second thing I would advise is that Diane is trying to target the young voters. Most of the young people have sent a nude picture. Many of them have sent a nude picture to somebody. So therefore, it's non-issue for the target audience that she's trying to target. Yeah, you understand? Yeah, therefore...
Are you implying she's buying the rig?
What's your take? What's your take on the same as we move to the next aspirant, independent aspirant?
What do you mean exactly?
Right. What is your take? Right.
My point is that they are irrelevant.
They're irrelevant.
Unless they raise issues worth of discussion.
You want to say Felipe Maimana is irrelevant?
They are media success. Actually, let's look at the reason why they are attracting media attention.
Yes.
It's because the others who are supposed to be providing the alternative voices, Paced and Pair, decided to abscond. So us journalists, we end up following, I mean,
but
just
I don't think they
because of the
absconded. They did not abscond.
that is my view.
Yeah.
They left a gap because it is always there. The alternative voices.
Is this a gap? Is this a gap that someone like Barafinda, Felipe Maimana can actually fill in?
Which gap are you talking about?
That he says PSD and PL left, and the feeling that, you know what, now what do we do for the constituents who are supposed to vote for them?
PSD and PL leaving is an indication that they understand there is no gap. If they understood there was a gap, they would fill it. Now, and they are smart for being cognizant of the fact that there's no gap. They are in the coalition government.
Yeah.
And because they're in the coalition government, and as I've talked in the past, they have not taken the time to go to the grassroots, to mobilize and to sell their agenda in the general public. They are unable to force a creation of a gap. Yeah, so they understand they're also complicit in the absence of this gap, and therefore they are doing the right thing to do politically by not imagining there is a gap.
Right. Now, let's talk about then Dr. Frank Habineza, because he's not an independent. Gonzaga says independence, let's not waste time there. This is what he actually feels. But let's talk about this man who's making a second attempt at the top job in the land. That is the Democratic Green Party presidential hopeful, Dr. Frank Habineza. What are his chances? Going by what we've seen him say, what we've watched him do, you know, and being the only sort of political party that is opposed or fielding a candidate against the ruling party?
With Frank, I think his chances are limited.
Why?
One, what has he done? You know, building a nation does not happen in a single day. Rwanda, the country, has got a history. And I think also the RPF being an appealing political party today, comparing to the rest, actually above the rest, it's because there is a history, there is a foundation that the RPF has laid in doing what? In recreating or reimagining the state of Rwanda, the nation of Rwanda. So when you compare the agenda of Dr. Frank Habineza, the Green Party, Green Revolution and so on, does it really appeal to the concerns? Does it challenge the foundation, the political, social and foundation, political, social and economic roadmap that the RPF has set?
But probably people just choose not to listen to him because they already have decided what they want to listen to. So maybe when he comes and says, you know what, I have this agenda, then
I don't think people have chosen not to listen to any other person. People have got a reason. You know, when we revisit the history of this country in 1994, this became a complete shattered country in every aspect of a state. reconstructing this country called for extraordinarily energy, agenda, and power.
And power. Gonzaga, I mean, she asks, what has he done? But probably he would respond. Wait, let me finish my question. Probably the question that the Democratic Green Party flag bearer would say, I've not been president. What would you have expected me to have done for you to actually compare me with a sitting president? Is he being judged unfairly?
He was complaining that there was a news story in the morning saying that Anna Desok claim he has no chance of actually campaigning for the other people, that he's going to call ask the Electoral Commission to stop them. But which is odd, it is strange, because it's free speech, everybody has an opinion. Number one, it's a step forward. Remember, he started in 2009, tried to register a political party, failed, so he was not on the ballot last time. He has been struggling for a long time. Now it's a step. Now most likely will be on the ballot because he's nominated by a registered political party. He has been building structures. But as she said, the odds, I mean, they are very low for him. But actually, we should be looking, will he get a certain percentage of vote to qualify to be part of government? Because as is dictated by the consensus politics, will he, can he attract sufficient support, maybe 5% of the vote, that his party can claim part of government? Because the constitution states something like that. That's what we should be looking at.
Could this be the agenda?
If Habineza can get 5% of the vote, I'll consider joining his party.
This is a declaration.
This is a declaration.
Official declaration.
Officially. Habineza will not get 1% of the vote. He'll have 0 point something.
Now, we're going to take a short break. Okay. Just hold that thought. Gonzaga, I mean, Lonzen, be nice. No. Listen, we're going to take a very short break, but of course, before we take that particular break.
But I had an explanation why.
Maybe you can explain when we come back. Okay, we're going to take you on that when we come back. We're going to take a very short break, and of course, when we return, we'll be able to move the conversation forward, and that is the issue of succession politics right here in Rwanda. And definitely, there are so many statements that the president of Rwanda made when he was declared the flag bearer or nominee for the flag bearership for the RPF. And one of them was this particular situation where he said that I want you to address the reasons that have compelled you to bring me back here. And of course, he challenged the youth and he said that you can be president. You have to invest in yourself. You have to participate in politics. If you don't get involved in politics, bad politics take care of you. And the next day, you are led by people you do not deserve. And of course, that formed the basis of our opinion poll question, which is on Twitter right there. And of course, we're going to sample it. And the question was, will the Rwandan youth rise to the occasion and live up to President Paul Kagame's expectations of being active in politics? Those are the polls so far. 21% of you are actually saying that the youth are not interested in politics. And of course, 79% say that yes, of course, they're going to live up to that particular challenge. We have already 115 people who have actually voted in that particular Twitter poll. Keep voting, and of course, we'll sample some of your comments in the course of the program. Hashtag InFocusRW. We'll read them right on the program. We're back in a moment.
Now that is the smell of a new day, new business ideas, new opportunities, and above all, a new chance to start over. Forget about the news. We want to talk about the stocks that are trading, what companies have been listed, and the exchange rate, and also the money matters, not just regionally, but also globally. Take a look. They are the right arm of every business world. The small-scale businesses, they contribute a lot to our economies, and yet they face new challenges every single day. Now, I come in to stop all that. Listen to them, find a common ground, and come up with a solution. And I also give you an insight into the opportunities in their business world. Join us every Tuesday on Business Digest.
Many people have been asking what we have been up to. Well, we have told the different stories from decision makers, but this time round, it will be different. We will be getting head to head with various influencers and get to the heart of the matter. It is not an easy ride, but we'll endeavor to get you there. It will be insightful, informative, and at times we will agree to disagree because we are the bridge to your leaders.
Quite interesting tweets coming on via the hashtag InFocusRW. Keep them coming. Of course, we'll be able to read them in the course of the program. Thank you for being with us. My name, as always, is Eugene Adnangwe. Tonight on the program, we are actually talking about the politics of the August 2017 elections, the presidential elections and transition politics right here in Rwanda. We have some tweets that have been coming thick and fast. Let's try and sample some of them that have been coming on to our screens there. We have one from Joy who says, the youth is interested in politics. Check the RPF branches in universities. But I'm not sure they got the vision required. I think this is a response to our opinion poll question there. You have Rugambwa who says the question is whether those who get in are the right kind with the right attitude and motivation and willing to invest in themselves. I think this is on the youth who actually decide to get into politics, whether they are actually ready to inspire themselves. We have Urawaruta Grace, my good friend, who says, I think some can start by running for members of parliament next year. How wonderful it would be having a quota of young members of parliament. Keep those tweets coming. Of course, we'll be able to sample them right here in the course of the program. And of course, this now takes us to our next part of this particular program today, or the conversation, transition politics. And not just transition, but of course, handing over, to the next generation. Gonzag, Lonzen, and myself, and yourself as well, we are young. We sort of, in one way or another, fall in the bracket that the president mentioned right there, who can be president or who should be interested in politics. And let me start with you, Gonzag. Why are you not a politician?
Actually, this is the best I can do in politics, given the context. But I don't think there is any question of succession. Yeah. I don't expect the incumbent to... 7 years is a long time.
Yeah.
That is 1 year less than 8 years usually an American president serves. So thinking of succession 7 years from now, and most likely the people who ask President Kagame to run again will ask him again then.
Do you think he's going to accept this?
He has always accepted. So personally, I don't expect a succession before 2034. That's why they wrote it in the constitution like that. So there's no question of succession.
Your take on succession politics here. And he says that President Paul Kagame is likely to accept if he's asked again after 7 years to run.
First of all, Gonzag says that his lack of interest in politics is because of the context. I don't know what he means. So if you could clarify, then I can answer you.
I'll clarify. For several years now, I've been asking for a reform that would allow mayors to be elected by universal suffrage as a ground where somebody can have a direct authority to run a district, then he can claim to be able to run a government at the national level. That's the context I'm talking about.
So if mayors will be elected, then you would join and go and contest for being mayor. It would inspire
me because I would be able to have a direct mandate with the manifesto. I can report direct to voters. I implement or fail, then you decide whether you can run for president or not. As long as those structures, we understand why we have a parliamentary system where they use party lists rather than constituencies. There are many reasons which are justifiable and make sense. But all that, because of how political parties are organized, even these youth, they are talking about, it's parliamentary election next year. Could we see evidence, somebody tweeted about it, that actually the youth who are willing to join politics will be given the space, the encouragement to compete and get on those lists fair and square? That's the context I'm talking about.
Justin, you'll come in because you promised to pick up. Let me bring in Justin here because specifically on the issue of challenging the youth to actually participate in politics, be active members of in politics, contest for these positions. You can actually be president. But the challenge is that some young people feel that they do not have role models or enough young presidents as role models who they can look up to and say, you know what, country A and B and C have young, youthful presidents who are actually successful in what they're doing. So I can be like them. Because they feel like the average age of African presidents is beyond what we call youth. You know, could this be one of the reasons why young people are not interested in politics, particularly going for presidential positions?
But I don't think so. I don't think the young people are not interested in the presidency. No. Just take what we are seeing here now. And the current leadership, the current person of the president. And we can easily say, and we can conclude he's a youthful president. Take another example of the former US President, Barack Obama. So what the youth we have today, those who are interested in politics, they are role models, they are mentors that they can easily pick on as their mentors, as their role models, get inspiration and get on the roadmap of politics. But the challenge I see into this is that the African politics have been politics mired by tribalistic tendencies, which tends actually to discourage the current youth of on the African continent, because I think part of the backwardness or the poverty that is ravaging some of the African societies is deep-rooted in these tribalistic politics.
And so the young people say, this is not my thing.
Sure.
I'd rather just go and become an entrepreneur,
Exactly.
sell chicken and do that.
Yes.
Lonzen, you wanted to say something before Gonzaga explained his point of the context. Now he has said that, and still coming back to the issue of the youth and politics, how do we ensure that what the president was challenging them actually materializes?
Do I answer both at once?
Yes.
Okay. The first is Gonzaga doesn't think that Kagame will cede after 7 years. He doesn't believe him. Now, I think that Kagame's character is not known to be duplicitous or mendacious.
Here we go. Where's the dictionary? Mendacious.
No. Okay, on a serious note, Kagame I don't think is known to be...
No, you are getting me wrong.
Now,
I said he was asked.
Okay.
Because
I'm going to
I'm
getting there. I'm getting there.
So it's not, I do not imply that
yes.
he will stick around.
Yeah. Now, Kagame needs to understand that at some point he needs to say no to whoever is pushing him to continue. And that is, he needs to ensure that he's not held captive. There are serious reasons why he's being asked to continue, and the geopolitical environment in which we continue to exist is still very challenging in a way that Rwanda continues to be an faces existential threats geopolitically. And this was revealed over the past 5 years. 2010 mapping report, 2012, 2013 M23 crisis, the intervention brigade that was sent in Congo, and we are not sure what its relation with Rwanda is, especially given the fact that it had Tanzanian, South African troops, and the two states were hostile to Rwanda. We have the BBC.
So what does that have to do with transition?
I'm talking about the geopolitical environment that is hostile, that perhaps created the conditions that forced Kagame to continue. Now
that no one else can actually handle those issues.
The risk was still there that it should not go under it needed to stay in steady hands. Now, while that may be reasonable, at some point Kagame needs to tell the people that, you know what, I'm not allowing you to hold me captive. And holding leaders captive is what has created the situation in Uganda, in Zimbabwe, in other places. Because you get held captive by this idea that if you go away, things are going to... So it makes sense what he's doing right now. There are reasons for it. It may continue to make sense. That is why he's preempting that possibility by telling them, start thinking about my replacement today. He's saying, over the next years I'm in office, I want you to consider, let people talk about my replacement. And this is a revolutionary thing taking place in Rwanda right now.
Right.
Can I continue that thought?
Very briefly. Then.
Yes. In Rwanda, perhaps the most dangerous thing you could do, not dangerous in the way that there's a threat to it, but people were afraid of being ambitious. Someone, you could actually, accusing somebody of being ambitious in Rwanda was, nobody wanted to be accused of that. President is telling them, be ambitious. The president is telling them, be ambitious.
Right. So I know Justin wants to come in, but of course, as you come in, let me just throw this quote out there, and probably this will help us to try and respond to what Gonzaga said out there. And Gonzaga, I wonder if this is not reason enough for you to believe that President Paul Kagame may not be running again after the 7 years, because this is what he says. Here is the deal. We have to do things differently. And I'm hoping that that can also be appearing on the screen in a very short while. He says, here's the deal. We have to do things differently, work harder so that the 7 years coming give us some kind of transition. This is what he was actually saying. And of course, we must work harder so that what made you ask me to stay longer can be addressed in these 7 years. Isn't this enough reason to show you that, look, the writing is on the wall? Just the next 7 years should be enough for you guys to deal with what he's actually saying, that he could actually be a transition period.
Yes, we can look at it on two sides. Yeah, he is assigning people. He did assign some people similar work in 2012 during a similar RPF Congress. We saw the result. In the circumstance, they don't remove those obstacles. What will he do? Because he's the leader. And we're talking about youth. Actually, he became leader when he was young. In 90, when he repressed Wijema, he was 32 or 33. And he did, incredible work at that age. Yeah. Given the obstacles he faced. So what will he take direct leadership? Other revolutionary leaders like Mwalimu Nyerere, they directly took leadership and made a decision. So if the people he is assigning in his party don't meet up the challenge of those who have ambition coming up and showing that they can actually do the job, he will have to take leadership. And at times you need even 2 weeks to decide on a succession. Boris Yeltsin did it in a few days, and Putin, who was from somewhere, because he just got a hard man, and the country benefited much better. Yeah. So at the end of the day, it may be him to make that decision. But usually, revolutionaries don't retire. So I'm still on that.
Justin, you wanted to come in, and I want you to just also go in the same line of succession politics. 7 years, we need to actually deal with those issues that made you bring me back here.
Yes.
How? What should we be looking at? And how do we achieve this in the next 7 years as a country?
To begin on the note that Gonzaga just said, that revolutionaries do not retire.
That was not Lonzen.
No, Gonzaga, yes. sorry. You know, those names tend to be almost the same. I don't want to buy into this because the type of leadership His Excellency the President Paul Kagame has demonstrated shows us that it is not about one size fits all. That's one thing that we are seeing. And again, when we come back to what Ronzen said, that the threats, the geopolitical threats that we are seeing today probably led to the people being uncomfortable to get into battles that they don't understand properly. I don't want to go that way because given the trend of political, social, and economic development in Rwanda today, I wouldn't shy to say that the country has taken off into from the state of emergence to a development stage. And the agenda is very ambitious.
So how do we start seeing, or how do we, as citizens, as political parties as well, start creating this person who takes over? from President Paul Kagame and relieves him this kind of task that he has that made people actually bring him back to that particular position that he's in again as a contestant or as a candidate in this coming elections. What should political parties be doing right now? What should citizens be doing right now to ensure that we have a qualified person able to probably continue on the progress that the country has been continuing on?
The political parties need one thing. The roadmap is set. They have been inspired. They have a model leader. So all we need to see is consolidation of the agenda and actually taking it to the next stage, seeing it into how seeing the political parties, even particularly the RPF, because the ball is in the hands of the RPF cadres to nurture somebody else.
You see,
wait before I conclude my point.
Yes.
There are two things.
Yes.
The leader has inspired. That is one. So asking people to get on the road to thinking about what is going to be the next step. Two, as a leader who is a model leader, is nurturing. We shouldn't be taking what he's doing, what he's telling us, for granted.
We should not take it for granted. We should be learning.
Exactly, learning, taking lessons from him.
Yes.
If in 7 years, Rwanda is facing serious threats, security threats especially, and Kagame leaves, it will be responsible of him to do so.
It will be irresponsible.
Irresponsible of him to do so. Especially given the fact that the constitution would allow him 2 more terms. Now, that is why he has to balance the responsibility he has towards Rwandans with the fact that he can't allow to be held captive. That is his own assignment, the same way he gave us an assignment. Yes.
So my prediction is being justified. Now, what I was saying, okay, there is the way how the conversation is going, not just here but in the country. It's as if finding another president is, I mean, it's so complicated, so hard. How? The RPF just open up, tell their members, we have a primary. Who gets the biggest votes?
Is it as simple as that?
Yes,
You feel
absolutely.
that it's as simple as
if they have been in power for 20-something years, and they have shown they are capable of serious mobilization and identifying talent. So within, if they opened up competition, it is as simple as that.
So
transition itself,
Yes.
you were talking about geopolitical issues. Actually, me, I think even transition itself could be a solution to help solve geopolitical issues. In Tanzania, the change from Chikwete to Magufuli, you saw how much it transformed the relation between the two countries.
I think, now, I think that opening up is talking about happened yesterday. The man told the people, be ambitious, seek the presidency. What are you afraid of? So now we had a culture before yesterday, there was a culture in this country where people were afraid of being seen to pursue the highest office in the land. But the man told you, pursue this office.
Yeah.
We shall see in practice.
Now,
It's good.
Now, because
That's been said.
the thing was said yesterday, and you're already disqualifying it as if give it a chance. Now,
We have been here. We have seen a lot.
Second
We have seen.
is, can I say something about the youth? The youth.
Yes. But still on transition. I mean, on transition and succession politics.
Yeah, the youth is part of. They were given, especially the thing to. Now, the youth. We talked about the youth and their presence in politics. You told me to answer this question, and they haven't answered it. So, can I answer it?
Go ahead.
We need to be careful in terms of the tendency to want to make being youth a qualification. The fact that you are youth is not a qualification. And that is why if the RPF is serious about empowering the youth to take over after them, they have to be intentional in doing so. And they have to clear up some forests.
Explain that, elaborate, expatiate that.
Yeah, they have to retire some.
Yeah, they have to retire some of those people and empower the youth to take up these positions. And for them to be active, to demonstrate their abilities, and from there we'll be able to see who is capable of leading this country.
But then again, we're talking about a country. We're not talking about leading a party. Why are we having this thought that the leader or the next leader after President Paul Kagame should be from the RPF.
Because
What is the role of the other political parties if it is not providing alternative leadership?
The president yesterday, I think, spoke in two roles. Spoke in the role as chairman of RPF and spoke in the role as president of the country when he opened up this discourse for everybody to take up this transition.
Yeah.
It was not, I think in that particular moment in time, he was not speaking to the RPF Congress.
Yeah.
He was speaking to the country. In that particular moment, he was telling the country, look for an alternative beside me. And because the RPF is in power, because he spoke about it in their home, they need to lead this thing about opening up gradually for the youth to see who is capable.
When we talk of opening up, I mean, he spoke of opening up.
actually-
You're speaking of opening up. Are you trying to insinuate that there are some people who are actually capable of leading, but they have been blocked from taking up these positions or going for this?
That's what makes it very interesting, because it's not a person who opens up. The constitution already opened up long ago, because
So
that's
what
why
is
the
the
job
problem?
is competent.
Why are we
for.
talking about opening up then?
Because the realities and the realities, the practice, and what is written, they are different things. Yeah, so I believe there are people.
I think it changed yesterday.
The environment has changed.
It changed yesterday, and by the
I wish I
declaration
could be that
yesterday, the president said, do not be afraid to aspire for the greatest office in the land. By that statement alone, I think the political environment in this country greatly, significantly was altered yesterday.
So whether from within and from outside the party, someone can even come out and
People
say,
can freely say, you know what, I think I'm capable. Without any, I told you before yesterday, it was a serious accusation to someone to be said that, you know, you have ambition, this person is ambitious, you know. There was a problem with that. And people actually withheld that disposition of having ambitions because they may be accused of being ambitious.
Yeah.
And for me, I never understood that.
Yeah.
And I think now that the president has said there's nothing wrong with being ambitious,
Yeah.
I think that is going to change a lot,
Right.
a lot of things. Yeah.
Perfect. Let's sample some of the tweets that have been coming in through the process of the program. We have some of them right here. One of them is from Yvette, who's watching us from outside of the country, and says, by pleading with the RPF to think about alternative, His Excellency President Paul Kagame added that he was not giving the deadline. So it sort of closes that conversation of saying that it must be.
No, that's
After
what I
7
say.
years,
That's what I say.
It could be longer than that, it could be shorter than that. There is no deadline.
But that's why I said he has to do this responsibly.
Yeah.
If we are in, let's say, something happens,
Yeah.
hopefully nothing happens,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
if there is a serious threat to this country, it would be responsible for him, especially because the Constitution allows him to continue.
Right.
Therefore, this is something he has to judge on his own judgment.
Yeah.
His own judgment has to prevail in such a way that it is responsible.
Right. Let's sample some more tweets, then we come back to you. We seem to be having also most of our viewers who are watching us and they're sending some of their tweets out there. Let's sample some of them if we already have them, and of course we'll be able to do this really fast. Rugambo says that maybe a leadership development mentorship program by President Paul Kagame would be a good start to tap into his wisdom. But of course, last week on Sunday, we had one of the RPF senior members telling us of a school, of availability of a school. We have another one right that says that yes, with a conducive environment to engage and train them for that purpose, it is not too young to run. I think this is still in relation with the Twitter poll question. In my view, youth is urged to be conscious of Rwanda's past as they seek to contribute to socio-economic development. Ruda Kemoniki, thank you so much for that particular tweet right there. So as we probably move closer to the end of the program, what is the narrative that the August 2017 presidential election is creating out there about Rwanda and you know, the whole political process, including the succession politics as far as that is concerned? Let's start with you, Justine. What sort of narrative do you think is this election should create about this country? When someone talks about the political process in Rwanda, then this is what they need to be saying or thinking about our country.
Our country is rebuilding and actually has taken an affirmative action.
Yes, very briefly, yes.
Yes, has taken an affirmative action to again reaffirm its existence on the African continent.
Right.
That is one. And how are we seeing this? We are seeing this in the development and political trend that the current leadership is taking.
Right.
Look at the investment relations.
Right.
That the
so there's progress against what we already have.
Right.
I'm going to cut you on that because we're out of time. Lonzen, your quick thoughts as we move forward, as these conversations continue to build up, what is the narrative that we're creating in our country as far as election and political space and succession is concerned?
The election is fully funded by Rwanda. Congo cancelled elections because they were not getting aid for it. And Congo is a much richer country than Rwanda. Anyway, Rwanda is fully funding the election. And I understand that it is very difficult for people outside of Rwanda to understand what's going on in this country, but it's not that important. It's not so important that they should understand.
Not so important. Gonzaga, very quickly, just one line.
In 2010, the campaigns were more of a celebration because the previous term had been a very big success. And the people responded very positively. I went to many of the president's rallies and you could see it. Now I'm going to see, is it going to be a celebration, a triumphant tour of a country like it was the other time? So that would indicate whether, he's still appreciated as he was that time.
Right. Perfect. We are out of time. Thank you so much for being... No, you can wait. I'm the only one who's allowed to stand because I'm the boss right here at this particular moment. Thank you so much for watching. Of course, for your tweets, they've been coming in. You say, definitely agree with Lonzen. Youth should be empowered to take over. This is from Butera. Axel Umutezi says, we have seen a lot, quoting Gonzaga. And says Gonzaga is something else. Thank you for watching. And of course, we had our Twitter poll question, and it's time to sample some, or of course, the final result of how you guys polled out there. This is what we have so far. 123 of you actually took the poll 5 hours ago. And of course, 81% have said that yes, the youth of Rwanda are going to take this particular task or this challenge by President Paul Kagame to be active in politics and possibly run for presidency. This is up to you. This is actually your country, and of course it's important that you take a key role in actually shaping what happens out there. So we'll be able to see you again next time, same place, same time. We're hoping that after the National Electoral Commission announces the qualified candidates for the election, in the presidency election, we'll be able to host them right here on In Focus. We're looking forward to that. Keep it in focus, RW. My name, as always, is Eugene Anangwe. Goodbye for now. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Kirori gihiga ibindi mu gususurutsa imbaga y'Abanyarwanda kigarutse ku nshuro ya 7 ni Primus Guma Guma Superstar. Nta mpamvu nimwe yo gucikwa ibitaramo. Teramo agakweto unagemo agashati teri pasa ko gapantaro ndugu yangu. Dore na wa muhanzi wemera yakereye kukunezeza mu muziki wa live 100%. Yes my friend, full live. Ndavuga live itavanyi igukura hasi ikakujana ibicu. Hanyuma nawe wake nuchika duhuri kirori tujyaza tutwike tujyane Primus Guma Guma Superstar kirori kigananya. Utora umuhanzi wakwemeje ukamwimika nka kizigenza wa muzika mu Rwanda, andika nimero ye wohereze kuri 43 43.